UTM, University Technology Malaysia. Innovative, entrepreneurial, global. A global award-winning university in engineering and technology that coexists in the community to contribute to mankind. We invest in laboratories and facilities, empowering our people to solve life challenges. We nurture innovative minds through research and teaching because innovative minds drive competitive and innovative research culture. Life problems are brought into the labs to test our inventions against imperfections. Our facilities enrich our students' life because conducive environment triggers creative minds. We empower students to be active contributors in the ecosystem. UTM embraces inclusivity and diversity. Together, making a difference, our entrepreneurial talents continue to improve the quality of life. We reach out to where it matters, the society. Treating water for consumption. Our research products and services have made a difference to many lives. We provide engineering solutions for sustainable development, and our engineering solutions uplift the quality of life and well-being. Our experts are mobilized to affected sites to respond to calls for help. We are proud to serve and make a difference. UTM strives with total commitment to attain excellence in science, technology and engineering for the well-being and prosperity of mankind. UTM, prospering lives. UTM, University Technology Malaysia. Innovative, entrepreneurial, global. A global award-winning university in engineering and technology that coexists in the community to contribute to mankind. We invest in laboratories and facilities, empowering our people to solve life challenges. We nurture innovative minds through research and teaching because innovative minds drive competitive and innovative research culture. Life problems are brought into the labs to test our inventions against imperfections. Our facilities enrich our students' life because conducive environment triggers creative minds. We empower students to be active contributors in the ecosystem. UTM embraces inclusivity and diversity. Together, making a difference, our entrepreneurial talents continue to improve the quality of life. We reach out to where it matters, the society. Treating water for consumption. Our research products and services have made a difference to many lives. We provide engineering solutions for sustainable development, and our engineering solutions uplift the quality of life and well-being. Our experts are mobilized to affected sites to respond to calls for help. We are proud to serve and make a difference. UTM strives with total commitment to attain excellence in science, technology and engineering for the well-being and prosperity of mankind. UTM, prospering lives.
Okay, so far so good.
Okey lah, maksudnya dapat feedback apa semua.
Banyak soalan. Banyak soalan. Okay je, so far okay.
Banyak masalah naik.
Tak ada, okay je. So far okay, thank you so much.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Dr. Ilham ni?
Dr. Ilham is not around. Dia ada masalah teknikal. Jadi saya Kamaruzaman, saya ganti Dr. Ilham. Okay?
Oh. Dr. Kamaruzaman ya?
Ya, saya sebagai moderator lah pada petang ni. Okay.
Tapi saya punya session pukul 2.40 kan?
2.40 tak apa sebab sekarang ni kita hanya ada 2 saja pembentang. Satunya ialah Dr. Tajul, yang keduanya ialah kita dah ada
saya panggil saya Tajul tak ada doktor lagi.
Kalau boleh secara Tajul tolong there might be some people or there are 3 people there in this Facebook, so should we start now? You can introduce yourself a little bit and then after that you continue with your presentation. Is it okay?
Okay, so the presentation must be in English or in Bahasa?
Yeah. I think in English is better because we might have some participant from overseas.
Okay, no problem. But I think I need a minute because I have to take my power supply first. Takut je lah if that happens in the middle.
It's okay. Okay, take your time.
Okay, thanks Dr. Dr. Ma, so how is it?
Hello, Dr. Mehdi. Are you around?
Hello, can you hear
Yeah.
me?
Yes, yes.
Great.
You are most welcome.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
I'm so happy to be in this conference.
Thank you. You are
I'm
most
happy to
welcome.
get connected. Actually, we had some troubles getting connected, but now it's fine.
Yeah, thank you very much.
You're most welcome.
So we have now 3 paper presenters in our group.
Okay.
Now I'm looking forward to invite Mr. Tajul Azhar for his presentation, for the first presentation, and then the second one will be your turn. Okay, and then the third one will be Zahra. She already sent us the PowerPoint and the video presentation. Okay.
Okay,
Yeah.
great.
So if possible, please be with us. We are afraid that we might lose you again. Yeah.
Sure.
Okay. So without further ado, I would like to call upon Mr. Tajul Azhar. First, please introduce yourself, and then after that, please continue with your presentation. So time is yours. So okay, please start, Mr. Tajul.
Okay, okay. Sorry. Okay. Okay. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. I have some technical issue here. Maybe I will need some 1 minute because my screen is projecting to other screen. Okay. Okay. So can I share my slide now? So I share my all right. Better.
Dah Tajul dah ni? Okay dah? Huh? Ni add to stream. Tak ada pun lagi dia ni.
Dr. Kamarul Zaman.
Yeah.
Yeah, can I start now?
Yes, please.
Okay. So I will share my screen. Okay. I will share my screen. Okay. Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, done. Please.
Okay. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Thank you for having me today. Today my presentation would be on my research on ransomware. Is a title efficiency technique for robust ransomware incident handling. This paper, the contributor or the author with this paper is Sharifah binti Shahidan and Sharifah Hana bin Said. Actually, we received some grant from polytechnics. So this is our title of our research. So just a simple introduction. So I'm from Department of Polytechnic and Community College Education at Ministry of Higher Education Malaysia. So I have experience present in a few conference, including previously EduTech Asia 2021, SharkFacts 19 US during conference, Jumlah di Malaysia Industry User Group. Most of them are the technical conference and technical and security conference in IT. So just a short insight. Okay, since 2008, cyber criminals have been creating what you call as attacks on malware. So the attacks on IT devices are very widespread now. So including routers and other types of network equipment. So the problem with this IoT or embedded devices is that anyone can we can just install the application or the software. So that lead to the what you call as vulnerabilities. And so the question is how we want to deal with that. So this is the research that we've done, I think for almost 1.5 years. So this is our agenda. So I will start with some introduction and mitigation techniques. So I will share to you with some sample data and architecture of my research and the conclusion. So attacks on IoT based malware already increased year by year. So since 2020, since 2018, so we have seen some increase on the attacks on the IoT devices itself. So actually, the mitigation or to overcome the attacks is very complicated because everybody are doing the deployment of IoT. So IoT has deployed in every aspect of the world. So and it is very light and it is not a daily use, but it used daily. So that's the problem. And so we proposing something that we call as incident handling, because with this incident handling, so is some kind of protection of the security parameter that we have on our IoT devices. And the threat hunting means we want to track the attackers. So this is the exercise that we deploy on our environment, on our education site, because some say is a blue team. Blue team is the opposite of red team. Red team means you are attacks, you are offensive, but in blue team we are at a defensive mode. So we want to propose something that will secure our parameter and of course to mitigate the attacks on IoT. So what is ransomware? So ransomware derived from the malware activity that it's manipulated by the attacker by requesting ransom. It's like money, but on the cryptocurrency, because they don't want people to trace the steps that they have to gain the money. So they are requesting the money from the victim through cryptocurrency via the dark web or the deep web. So this is the definition of ransomware, whereby incident handling is when we expanding our networks, we are deploying our servers, our firewalls protection, and so on and so forth. So we have people, resources, but incident handling is a major concern. So as a result, a traffic is like a a monitoring traffic framework because we want to understand the risks. We want to handle the security breaches, and we want to design a security policy because we want to provide our organization with this effective business continuity. Because when the attacks happen, sometimes there is no business continuity plan, so we will stop. So our reputation business will be vanished. So this is the important to have what we call as incident handling. So we have a few model and we have a few framework. This is a framework from the National Incident of Standard and Technology. So this is the response framework, or what we call as a model. So everybody are using this model to mitigate the action. But the problem is there are problems from preparation to lesson learned. So the lesson learned, we don't expect the attacks, but we have to prepare. So because attacks on security is inevitable, we cannot stop the attacks, but we have to have some plan, a proper plan, so that we can mitigate the action, and our business will run without any interference, without any interruption, because it's occurred our reputation. So this is the problem since 2008. So cyber criminals, they are creating malware. One type of malware is ransomware to the IoT devices. So your watch, your phone, everything on your hand now is on IoT. Everything that connected to the internet are called IoT. So it's conceived what they call as an internet network equipment. So the main problem with this, so I repeat again, they can install in any kind of security software. So the number of devices increase. The numbers of IoT devices increased 50 billion objects in the year 2020. So how do we deal with that? So the objective of the project, so the objective of this proposal of this framework is to develop, we want to develop the improving way of storing an IoT services port. So because, when we are deploy IoT devices, there are no, by default, what they call as a monitoring services on IoT. So number one. Number two, we want to enhance the experience of searching techniques of network information on IoT malware information. And the third one is providing the insight. Means we want to have a data. We want to predict something that will happen to be a ransomware attacks. So the Kaspersky has produced a lot of papers regarding with IoT attacks. So there is no way to mitigate the attacks because, I repeat again, it used daily. But with incident handling, with a threat hunting alike, Blue Team, or we call as a cyber defense team, will improve the way they search and store the attacks or the network monitoring. So I have gone through some papers on ransomware or malware attacks. So malware detection has got many issues and challenges as well, and every researcher is struggling. They are struggling even on the expert aspect, struggling with the finding the best way for detection process, because it is very complicated. If you do this way, so the attacker, they are very creative, they will do that way. So there is no one size fits all solution. So we have to think twice. So we have to what we call as a replay attacks. So every attacks we have to replay. So within that replay attacks, we can have the environment of a Blue Team or the threat hunting, because we want to understand what is the techniques that used by the attacker. And number two, honeypot. So why honeypot? Honeypot, we want to provide the detection method via honeypot is a fake service by a computer we deploy on the internet. So with that kind of attacks, with the real kind of attacks, we can combat later to the next attack or the malware. Okay, so that research was on 2019. And the third one, most of the malware attacks are using the same API calls that relates to the study of pattern behavior. So we want to understand the pattern behavior. We want to store the what you call as the attacks behavior, any kind of patterns, so that we can we can have our repository, so we can understand what type of attacks, what type of behavior that the attacker will use later or in the future. So with the three literature review, we come up with a data collection and feature. So we are used what you call as a less stack is a repository, is a simple put. I can say is a database, because it will store data. But the specialty of Elasticsearch, they can keep the messy data, and they are very high speed on retrieving and aggregation process. So with this Elastic, so we propose something that can be like this. We have a few production servers, okay, with the database and with some parameter firewall switches, and we put everything, the alerts, on the what we call as Elastic Stack. So from here we have some machine learning, we have some visibility, we have some plugins that we can use. So this is our proposed design from honeypots, okay, to the IoT traffic data acquisition central processing. So from here we will process to have some reputation checking. So we will integrate with VirusTotal. VirusTotal is a repository for attacks or ransomware, malware, and also a Talos intelligence. So this is our main proposal. So we have some dashboard. Okay, from the dashboard, we get some data. We will have some insight based on the numbers and figures that we populate from the data acquisition. Okay, so the interesting part on incident handling is mitigation techniques, because from the framework that I've shown from the previous slide, mitigation technique is a must, because if not, nothing will happen. And sometimes our action will make our organization thinks this is not right to invest on security, because investing on security parameter or devices and people are very expensive. So with the something that we deploy, this is the visibility or the dashboard that we have. So we will have what kind of host that we have, and we also have a user authentication process success till the what you call as a technique that we get from the attacker. And also we will keep the sources from the IP addresses, including the source and destination travel from the IoT devices. So from here, we will have some visibility, including what you call as a username and password has been used by the attacker, and also the geolocation on each traffic that comes across, that come in and out from our IoT devices. So from here we have a what we call as SSH login. SSH login means is a remote access technique or protocol for people to access the IoT devices. So we will have something here. So this dashboard will helps incident handler or incident response to respond or to mitigate the action on the networks by IoT devices. So this is another visibility that we have from the network perspective. So we have a network events, DNS queries, and unique flows IDs. So from here, we can do some what we call as a repository. So we keep all data. So we will have the time, because it will keep with the time series. So every attacks will have the failure or the success. Sometimes the success is from the mitigate traffic, is a legitimate traffic from the owner, for instance, and sometimes it is from attacker. So we will keep this data and we will process. Okay, so we will integrate with VirusTotal or maybe a Talos Intelligent. Not maybe, we integrate with Talos Intelligent and VirusTotal. So the interesting part we will find here, we will detect one IP address. It comes from RU is from Russia. So this is the real traffic that we have from our research, and we can detect here is a malicious something that the file or the ransomware or the malware has been inserted to our honeypots or IoT devices. So this is the history. The first scene or the attacks comes is from 2017 and last scene is 2019. So there are 5 submissions all around the world, and this one is a very malicious data and comes from this kind of traffic. So this is from reputation details from Talos Intelligence, is a center for reputation. We can compare the IP addresses or maybe the file, the binary that we have from our visibility or our repository. So as a conclusion, what I can conclude here is security. Again, security is inevitable. We cannot stop the attacks. So new technology comes with a huge vulnerability and loopholes, and sometimes it will be a very challenges, emergent technology. So every new technology comes, there are security issue or the loopholes that we have to look after on that particular problems. And number two, to prevent an IoT from attacks require more visibility. Visibility means we have to analyze the data. Okay, we have to have some big screens with a few insight. So we have to deploy a few people to look at any traffic that comes in and come out, because sometimes it will be very malicious traffic that we overlook the activity. And the third one, the powerful of Elasticsearch is to store the incident activity in a real-time data, so that different sources to detect any anomaly from different sources of honeypots. So I think that's all my my presentation. So this is my reference that I mentioned before. So I think that's all. Any question?
Thank you, Doctor. Do you hear me?
Yes.
Thank you, Doctor. On behalf of everyone here, I would like to thank you for your presentation.
Pleasure.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you. I'm so sorry for delay. I am Dr. Elham Sovati. I am the manager of this panel. I think you were the first presenter.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Thank you for your good presentation. Okay. Is there any question, you can ask your question. You have about 5 minutes.
I have a question from...
I think there isn't any question. Thank you, Doctor, for your good presentation.
So should I stay here? So I should stay here, or I just exit from this window? Should I stay?
I want you to stay, yes.
Okay, so I stay, okay.
Yes, you will stay, because maybe someone asks you some question at the end of the presentation.
Sure.
Thank you. Thank you.
So I will stop presenting, right? So I will start sharing, right?
Yes, you can.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay.
I'm so sorry for delay. I am Dr. Elham Sovati from Ilam University, and I'm glad to moderate this interesting panel. Now, let's move on to the second speaker. Okay, Dr. Turger Ergesler, you want to present?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yes.
So may I show my screen?
Yes, you can. Yes. Now, let's move on the first speaker, Dr. Turger Ergesler. I'm delighted to introduce Dr. Ergesler from the University of, which university?
Üsküdar University.
Üsküdar University, who will speak on development of LSTM and CNN-based hybrid deep learning model to classify motor imagery tasks.
Now,
Am
can
I
you see
right?
my? Can you see my screen?
Yes, you can start, Doctor. You have about 15 minutes.
Yeah, that's okay. Can you see my screen, my presentation?
Yes.
So, dear listeners, I'm going to present a deep learning based medical data analysis process with you. So let me share a brief information. Let me give a brief information about data processing first. Probably you heard the data mining term before. Can you see my screen, by the way? I just run my presentation.
Yes, yes.
So you see my presentation full screen?
Yes.
It is your presentation, yes.
Yeah, that's great. So
Keep on.
in our studies, we are mostly using data analysis processes, and mostly we are focusing on sound recognition, image processing, and machine learning and deep learning processes. Since the resolution of the data is increasing in the course of time, we are using deep learning based algorithms and more powerful machines in order to analyze the data. So before starting my presentation, I'll just give some brief information about the emerging technologies, because as you can see from the hype cycle that is published by Gardner, at the top, deep neural nets and namely deep learning algorithms are having the highest expectation since their higher capability of data processing and their widespread application fields, in especially in medical science, is giving strength to deep neural networks. And in our study, we used deep neural networks to analyze the medical data with high resolution. Before giving the output of our studies, I'm just going to share a video with you to present the power, the strength of AI-based studies. And I'm going to share a video. I'm going to play the video given on the left. You will see that a very elite researchers, doctors in China competes with AI-based algorithms, and you will see that the performance of AI-based algorithm outperforms the doctors, the elite doctors in China for two different types of disorders. So I'm going to play the video so that you can hear and watch the video. Can you hear the sound of the video?
Yes, yes.
Good. In a two-round competition for brain tumor diagnosis, AI was correct with 87% and in 15 minutes for 225 subjects, while the doctors with 66 in half an hour. And in the second round, AI predicted with 83% in 3 minutes for brain hematoma expansion, and the doctors performed 63 in 20 minutes. As you can see from the performance of the model, AI is quite powerful tool for the researchers, because it predicts the output of the treatment, and it diagnoses the subjects in a very short time and with a higher classification accuracy. That's why in the course of time, in the very near future, you will be able to see that the performance of AI-based applications are quite important, and they are really vital for medical diagnosis process with their performances. And as you can see from the slide on the right, there are different companies serving for medical data analysis with their higher budgets, and they are mostly some startup companies that have very strong connections and budgets. The hardware that is required to analyze the high resolution data is different from the general, the used machines. They are the standard machines are using standard hardwares, but the deep learning algorithms are using different hardwares. They are using GPU based cores, and they are using different frameworks and different algorithms. They are mostly using Python programming language to analyze that high resolution medical data. This is the very theoretical background. So instead of giving detailed information about the standard artificial neural networks, I'm just gonna skip to the deep learning algorithms. Mainly deep learning algorithms are analyzing or tries to extract the features that is specific to the disorder. To explain it simply, I just gave different X's and different O letters on the screen. For all of us, we can easily see that they are all X letters, the one on the first row. and the one on the second row are all O letters. We see that they are all X's and they are all O letters. But for the computers, they are all different characters, different letters. So in order to enable that classification, we have to teach to the deep learning model that they have the same characteristics, they have the same patterns, so that the algorithm can classify the first row as, yes, they are all X letters, and the one on the second row, yes, they are O letters. This is the way that we learn. So we have to teach to the model as the way that we learn. So that is called convolutional neural networks. It first tries to extract the similar features. It tries to extract the similar patterns for the letters. Then we have to convert the colors to numerical values and find correlations between the patterns to present or to point out how strong the correlation of the similar patterns is. So at the end, instead of giving a very detailed theoretical explanation, I'm just going to show the result of our studies. We use a layered approach. We have different types of layers, convolutional layers, rectified linear layers. We use them in a combined way. We also use pooling letter 2 to decrease the size of the data. And at the end, finally, we use a softmax classification block to detect the probability of the objects. For example, if the model is trying to define whether an object is a car, truck, airplane, ship, or a horse, we have to first feed the model with the original image. And as you can see from the image, it's a car. So when we feed the network, our model, with this original raw data, which is our car image, the softmax transfer function detects, or let's say generates, the probability for the object. So as you can see from the right, the model says that, or the model predicts that it is highly probable that it's a car. And as you can see from the probabilities of the other devices, transportation, because I mean, it could be truck, airplane, and ship, but the probability of those objects is lower than car. So the model, the deep learning based model, is fed with the original, with the raw data, and at the end, the softmax defines or decides the probability of being the object. And in our study, this is another similar study. If you feed the model with the objects, with different types of objects, it can predict whether the object is a car, a dog, horse, person, or cat. So the model just generates the probability for the given object. And of course, according to the probabilities, we can decide whether it's a dog or a cat. If the probability is quite high compared to the other probabilities, we can easily say that, oh, that's okay, it's a dog or it's a person. This is the similar application that is being applied by Uber. It classifies the objects using the camera at the headset and drives the car autonomously. It is using the same logic. It observes the road, defines or decides the objects on the road. If it's car stopping with the red lights, the car will stop too. So the same processing logic is applied for autonomous devices too. The other application is drones. Drones have their cameras. They observe the roads. When they see something, it could be the person or car or a tree, it just processes the raw image, which is video over here. And for each and every frame, the software in the drone processes the visual data and decides whether the object is, let's say, an enemy or a soldier, a cyclist, a car, or a tree. That is important because in the very near future, we will be seeing that the wars will be mostly managed or based on autonomous devices like drones. They are called autonomous weapons. And in our study, since each and every object has its own pattern, or the objects like cats or dogs have their discriminative or specific features, we decided to apply that logic to medical data analysis, and we collected data from different subjects suffering from MDD, major depressive disorder, and we collected raw data that's called EEG data. We transformed that raw EEG data to the EEG cap and tried to extract the specific characteristics or features of the EEG to define whether the subjects suffering from MDD have different patterns compared to the health subjects. I'm going to repeat that part because it's the most important part. We just collected data from the subjects suffering from MDD, major depressive disorder, and we also collected data from healthy subjects. And according to the characteristics or features of the subjects, that is EEG, raw EEG data, we just tried to extract the pattern of the MDD subjects, and we just extracted the patterns of the subjects, the healthy subjects, and we just generated a model classifying those two subjects. So we just fed the model with a new subject, a newcomer, and according to the raw data of that newcomer, we just classified according to the pattern of the new subject. We classified the subject as MDD or healthy control. So this is raw EEG. Since it's not an image, it's just a signal, we converted this raw EEG signal to image by normalizing between -1 and +1, then converted it to grayscale image like this. So the one on the left is the EEG image of a healthy subject, while the one on the right is representing the raw EEG image of a subject suffering from MDD. So now the EEG signals are image for us, so that we can feed our model with 2x2, two-dimensional visual data, which is image. So this is our process that is used to convert raw EEG to an image file. We fed our convolutional neural network based model with the raw EEG image data, and at the end we got those results given on the tables. According to the results, we just saw that the delta frequency, we have four different types of frequency bands for EEG. It could be delta, theta, alpha, or beta for our subjects. And according to the frequency bands, we just observed that a delta frequency band is much more important for the classification of the subjects, whether it's a subject suffering from MDD or a healthy control. And as you can see from the second table, we had 45 real MDD subjects, true labeled MDD subjects. It was 45, and we had 47 healthy controls. And according to the classification model, since the classification accuracy is quite high, as you can see from the table, is 90%, the confusion metrics also verified our solutions, and 41 of 45 subjects were correctly classified as MDD, while 42 of 47 subjects were correctly classified.
So sorry, dear doctor. Sorry to interrupt you, but you have just about 2 minutes left to finish your presentation.
So I'm about to finish, and as you can see from the accuracies given on the third table, the area under curve values is also given, and the area under curve values is quite high for delta frequency band. And this is the log curves of different models, and the ResNet model is quite high compared to the other models, which is also given on the former page. So this is the last slide, and I'm going to share Jack Ma's speech video. This is quite important for me. Let me play it, and I'm going to finalize my slide. Education.
Independent thinking, teamwork, care for others. These are the soft part. The knowledge will not teach you that. So that's why I think we should teach our kids sports, entertainment, music, painting, art. But making sure humans should be different from everything we teach should be different from a machine. If the machine gets better, you have to think about that.
Yeah, my presentation is over.
Thank you, dear doctor. I appreciate your presentation.
Thank you.
Thank you. Is there any question about this presentation? Okay. Now, let's move on to the speaker. I'm delighted to introduce Dr. Mahmoud from Ilam University, who will speak on log linear generalized additive model GAM to analyze the association between air pollutant and COVID-19, the case of Tehran, Iran. Now I'd like to hand over to you, Dr. Omidi. Can you hear me, Dr. Omidi? Okay, thank you. Dear Dr. Omidi, can you start? Dr. Omidi, we are waiting for you.
I'm so sorry, it was muted. Can you hear me now?
Yes, you are welcome.
Okay.
Dr. Omidi, you have about 15 minutes to give your presentation. Thank you. You can start your presentation.
Thank you.
Okay.
Hello, everyone. It's my pleasure to present my work entitled as Log Linear Generalized Additive Model to analyze the associations between air pollutants and COVID-19, the case of Tehran, Iran. This paper was written by me and Hossein Shafizadeh Muqaddam from Tarbiyat Mudarris University and Ms. Rahebe Abedi from KNTU. Okay, the way that I will present my work will start with stating the problem, then a little bit talking about the research background and literature review, then about the case study, method, data, and about the results and discussion finally. Nowadays, everybody that lives on this planet knows the term COVID-19. It was started from China, from Wuhan, and Iran was one of the first countries that was hit by this virus. On let's say March 2020, Iran's government explicitly announced the pandemic, and they started to put a lot of restrictions. They imposed a lot of severe quarantine. They banned the intra-provincial travels despite we were closing to our New Year holidays, and they suspended a lot of jobs. It was really successful. At that time, we all, like other people in the world, expected to see a decline in the pandemic by approaching the hot season. But this optimism didn't last long, because the second wave in Iran, like several other countries, started exactly by the beginning of the hot season. In this paper, we focus was occurred during the hot season. One of the most important parameters that affect COVID-19 is air quality, and the role of different pollutants should be explored. In this paper, we used a statistical model, GAM, Generalized Additive Model, to explore the relationship between the ozone and PM2.5 and COVID-19 during summertime, or better to say that during the second wave of COVID-19. There is an extensive body of literature regarding the relationship between different pollutants and the role of each of the pollutants on the COVID-19. But the matter that was less explored is ozone. But PM2.5 is actually explored and nowadays is a hot topic. Nakada and Urban observed that a drastic decrease in NOx and CO concentrations, but an increase in O3 or ozone by 30%. They did their research in Sao Paulo in Brazil, but they didn't explore how daily confirmed cases of COVID-19 are related with ozone. Caucia in Italy, they actually again showed a higher rate of infection among individuals that were exposed to air pollutants for more than 100 days per year. Yao also observed a positive correlation between PM2.5 pollution and COVID-19 inside and outside the city of Hubei in China. Other researchers like Wu and Ogen also found the same relation between the different pollutants and COVID-19. The most important thing is that O3 or ozone is still less explored. Let's focus on our case study. We have done our research on Tehran, one of the most polluted cities in the world. We collected our data from 23 air quality monitoring stations. They are well distributed over Tehran. They record daily pollution at 11 a.m. Our data were collected for 73 days. Air quality index showed that 28 days were unhealthy condition for sensitive groups and 2 days for all groups. According to the air quality index, the root cause and the most influential factor to make the common days unhealthy was ozone. It was responsible for actually ozone for 6 days, and PM3 were at unhealthy levels at the same time for 6 days. I mean, both pollutants were responsible for 6 days. Other pollutants were at were not an unhealthy condition. They were in a normal situation. Here you see the second peak of COVID-19 in Tehran, which has started from, let's say, in May, and it was reached between June and July, and it continues during the next days, but due to some limitations of the government and other measures that were taken, it was finally controlled. And the lower panel shows the fluctuations and also the trend of COVID-19 and PM2.5 and O3. One important point is that previous studies have shown that a little increase in ozone has deleterious effect on respiratory system. and on the actually making the air quality index unhealthy. As I said, we used a generalized additive model, which is a semi-parametric flexible model, which belongs to the generalized linear models, GLM family, which can be used to handle linear and nonlinear relationships between dependent and independent variables. In this case, our independent variable is confirmed cases of COVID-19, and the independent variables are ozone and PM2.5. We use a log link function because we have count data with the Poisson distribution. Here you see the general form of GAM equation, which we have an ozone and regress against the confirmed number of COVID-19 cases. We implemented the work using MGCV package in R. Results here show that first Spearman correlation was 55% between ozone and COVID-19, as well as 36% between PM2.5 and COVID-19. Here, the interpretation is that when you see values of effective degree of freedom or ADF greater than 1, it shows a wiggly relationship, a complex nonlinear curve. And both were significant. Here you see the way that they react to each other. You see that there is a sharp increasing relation between the confirmed cases of COVID-19 and the ozone. And it's somehow clear and not that much complex like PM2.5. But in this case, you see a much more wiggly and complex relation between PM2.5 and confirmed cases of COVID-19. Well, as a conclusion, this was the first study in Tehran that showed ozone is, or O3 is responsible, is the main responsible, perhaps. Of course, it requires more investigation for the increasing number of COVID-19 during the hot season. The results showed that both PM2.5 and ozone had significant relation with confirmed cases of COVID-19. And we conclude that as we are approaching to the hot season, government and other officials should take these parameters serious and take measures that can control and curb the outbreak of COVID-19 during the hot season. Of course, we strongly recommend to do the same studies for other cities as well as the affected cities in the world to make a robust conclusion that how ozone can affect the COVID-19. Of course, now we can't say COVID-19 anymore because we are facing a variant of this pandemic. This is the end of my presentation. If there is any question, I will be happy to answer.
Thank you, Dr. Omidi. I do appreciate your presentation. Is there any question? I'm waiting to ask a question. I think there isn't any question. Thank you, Dr. Omidi. Now, thank you. Let's move to the first speaker. I don't know that. Is there Dr. Zahra Askari Nejad Amiri? We are waiting for the first presentation. Okay. Now we want to present her video. Okay. We are waiting to uploading Dr. Askari Nejad Amiri video.
Of God. Today I want to speak about management of COVID-19 pandemic outbreak based on IoT. My name is Zahra Askari Nejad. I will discuss about the problem of the COVID-19 that nowadays confront with our life. So how technology, how IoT can help us based on the literature and what's the solution for us. Okay, this paper is presented by me and my colleague Nastan Zanjani. So now I want to start it. As we know, the coronavirus is one of the irresistible sickness and quickly spreading around the world. This type of the virus nowadays cause our life damage, and WHO reports show the positive case has drastically surged. It means that nowadays you can see a lot of people who become sick based on this virus, and the number of them is increased rapidly in all over the world. So to control the spread of this pandemic, lockdown, isolation, stay at home, it's one of the best solutions. In this study, we want to discuss how it can help us, how a stay at home, it can help us by a smarting home, by a smarting hospital. It means that because nowadays most of the time we stay at home, so one of the most problematic things that happen when you stay at home, you need to control the virus even though in your home, in your house. So how technology can help us to decrease the spread of this virus in your home. Because of that, this is the famous figure that you see a lot, stay home. So this figure shows the importance of home in the nowadays by emergence of coronavirus. The technology as a smart home, it helps you a lot for have a safe home, to decreasing the number of the virus and decreasing the spread of virus exactly. Okay. In this study, I discuss in two parts. One of them is as a smart home and a smart hospital. Both of them is important nowadays. Okay, and we try to present some devices help us to coping with coronavirus. As a smart home, as you see in this figure, remote controlling the device. We discuss about which device. A smart home isolation, remote control as a smart hospital, remote controlling the patient, and a smart patient test booth is a two important part of our study that affecting coping with coronavirus. Okay. Now we discuss about the related work on the smart home and smart hospital, exactly on the coping with COVID-19. Many researchers discuss a lot about a smart home and a smart hospital, But in this study, we try to present the devices that are presented as a smart home, which is important for coronavirus, which is important with coping with coronavirus. Okay. We want to say how IoT can help to control the coronavirus. Okay, now is discussed in two parts. The smart hospitals. As we know, that's a lot of definition for the smart hospitals, but we know that the IT integration of the healthcare help promote the creation of COVID-19 medicine. So in a smart hospital, as a IoT tools, it can help us to control and medicine of the COVID-19. It means that two parts, one of them for controlling, one of them for medicine. Okay. In the table, we present some devices used for the coronavirus. This device is presented specifically in the text. Now I want to just remembering and mention them as a short. You can see the whole thing in my paper. The hospital function. Which function in hospital can be done by the IoT device, by the device that is we consider as a IoT, okay? Medical non-adherence like a sensor, wearable patch, mobile device. It can help for patient treatment. Monitoring health and lifestyle, that's very important, like a heart rate, blood pressure, fever measurement, wearable sensors, okay? And remote therapy, drug delivery, that's very important in coronavirus, because if you have a contact with any person, maybe the nurse and doctor and other people cause to emergency with the COVID-19, so that's very important. Drug delivery, it means that remote therapy. Check vital reading of the human body as a smartphone's device, a smart band. It can check your human bodies, okay? And blood glucose variation, that's very important, because the person who have a glucose, it has many problems in nowadays with the coronavirus, okay? Another part of this study is a smart home. In a smart home, it's a place that resident equipped with the computing and information technology, which anticipate and respond to the need of the occupant, working to promote their comfort, convenience, security, and entertainment. If you want to have a smart home, you should have a home setup where a smartphone or other network computer can be used to automatically remotely control the application. In another page, we present the smart home as you see in the table, the devices that use and the function that use to control the coronavirus. You know that touching hand, touching the surface, it's very important nowadays. If you have the control on the device remotely, that's very important in your house. It means that you decrease the spread of this virus. Refrigerator, dishwasher, washing machine, and other tools that your home, it could be done remotely controlling. Another one is the smart ledger. Nowadays, people, because of the most time stay at home and work at home, even though anything doing at home, so it causes that you have a lot of time you lose the time that you go to the restaurant, go to the entertainment, go to the park. So we need some technology that help people to have a collaboration together, but not in the face to face. Okay, remotely do it. A smart ledger is like this. As a TV, as a home cinema, it can help you to have a ledger with the outside and overcome feeling of isolation nowadays. Supporting patient with extra service. Even though the patient is not a patient with the coronavirus, maybe it's first to stay at home to treatments. So supporting the patient by alarm system, visual sign, a special daily screen, it's important to available in any house that people cope with coronavirus. Now, how we can implement these devices that I mentioned in real world? Okay, we need some tools, as I mentioned, the devices, and some technology like sensors and others that is mentioned exactly specifically in the paper. But in this paper, because we don't have the technology, we don't have the time for implementation, and the cost of them is high, we try to simulate them by the Cisco Packet Tracer as a simulator of the IoT, which can help us to simulate this device. So we can simulate, we simulated a smart fan, a smart window, door, lamp, garbage door, a Springer smartphone, a smart band, and others that I mentioned as a Cisco Packet Tracer. It shows that it could be remotely control the system and help you to do. Okay. In overall, nowadays in our life, we confront a virus that is more dangerous compared to other viruses that we have, and the speed of spread of them is very high. That's the problem the world faces nowadays. So the technology and IoT technology, the Internet of Things, it can help you to do many activity remotely without touching surface, without contact face to face. That's very important part. We try to present in this study two parts, as a smart home and a smart hospital, and present some devices to show you which of them can be helpful for coping with COVID-19. Thanks for your nice attention. I hope that coronavirus stop and finish as soon as possible, and people come back to the previous lifestyle. Thank you.
Okay, I would like to thank dear Dr. Asgarinejad. I think there isn't any question about the presentation. We have about 3 minutes left to finish this presentations. Then I would like to thank again our speakers for their very interesting and stimulating contribution. I thank all of you for your participation, for your good presentation. Thank you. I wish the best for all of you. Thank you.
Assalamualaikum.
Waalaikumsalam.
Boleh dengar suara dengan jelas ya?
Boleh, boleh.
Okey. Beli belum live lagi kan?
Rasanya belum tu.
Okey. So kita tunggu je lah ya.
Ya.
Tak ada lagi ni. Kita belum online lagi ni kan?
Tak sure doktor. Saya check dekat YouTube tak ada keluar lagi muka kita.
Oh, YouTube dan Facebook je.
Kita
Belum
tadi
lagi.
check tu dia cakap dah online.
Okay, so kita tunggulah. Tak ada lagi presenter, tak ada seorang pun lagi ni. Kita masih menunggu we're still waiting for the presenters. Wan Nur Izzati presenter kan?
Tapi
Sekejap,
second
paper mana? Sekejap. dalam saya ni, law and order.
Tak, mana penipah virus? Security. Saya punya moderator Dr. Ilham Fakar.
Salah room kot.
Salah room. Ni room 2.
Ni room 1. Room 1.
Room 1. Saya check je.
Pada saya 3 orang daripada Iran.
Doktor baca chat sekejap.
Okay.
Rasanya ni room 2, doktor. Ni room 2.
Ni room 2 Sebab saya klik room 1 tadi. Saya cuba sekali lagi. Saya log out dulu ya.
Okey, doktor.
UTM, University Technology Malaysia. Innovative, entrepreneurial, global. A global award-winning university in engineering and technology that coexists in the community to contribute to mankind. We invest in laboratories and facilities, empowering our people to solve life challenges. We nurture innovative minds through research and teaching because innovative minds drive competitive and innovative research culture. Life problems are brought into the labs to test our inventions against imperfections. Our facilities enrich our students' life because conducive environment triggers creative minds. We empower students to be active contributors in the ecosystem. UTM embraces inclusivity and diversity. Together making a difference, our entrepreneurial talents continue to improve the quality of life. We reach out to where it matters, the society. Treating water for consumption. Our research products and services have made a difference to many lives. We provide engineering solutions for sustainable development, and our engineering solutions uplift the quality of life and well-being. Our experts are mobilized to affected sites to respond to calls for help. We are proud to serve and make a difference. UTM strives with total commitment to attain excellence in science, technology and engineering for the well-being and prosperity of mankind. UTM, prospering lives.
Ni kenapa device nak kena? Okay, bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Dr. Werner, can you hear me?
Yes?
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay, all right. Sorry for keeping you waiting. There is a little bit of technical error with our call. So, shall we start?
Yes, sure, Doctor.
Okay. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Shaima binti Arifin. I'll be your moderator for today. Before we begin, I would like to give a little bit of introductions. Everyone is given 10 to 12 minutes for their presentations. Then we will have a question and answer at the end of the sessions. The theme for this session is security, and for now we only have one presentation, which is you. And without further ado, I would like to invite you to present your topic on the menace of the Nipah virus to national security, 1997-2001, the Malaysian experience. Doctor, the floor is yours.
All right, thank you, Dr. Sharima. Let me share the screen first. Can you see my screen?
I don't see anything here. One moment. Okay.
Can you see it now?
Okay, I can see your slides.
All right. So, Assalamualaikum and a very good evening to Dr. Sharimah and all the all the participants. Wait. Okay, I think I just put the screen like this because I can't show it as a slideshow. Is it fine?
Yes.
All right. First and foremost, I would like to thank ICCTME committees for this opportunity. And I would also like to express my gratitude to Dr. Ahmad Kamal Arifin, who is another author for this conference paper. He is a senior lecturer in the Department of History, University of Malaya. And I'm Wana Izzati, also from the Department of History, University of Malaya. So ladies and gentlemen, the topic for today's conference that will be presented by me is the menace of the Nipah virus to national security 1997 to 2001, the Malaysian experience. The importance of health in the aspects of life is often underestimated by society. Therefore, the capability of health threats compared to the physical threat in jeopardizing the national security is often downplayed and disregarded. With that, the objective of this paper, we analyze the extent of the Nipah virus outbreak and how it had threatened our national security as well as government preparation in providing infrastructure to overcome it. Well, before we move further, let me explain a little bit on the security concept. Well, our national security concept has reoriented its focus from an emphasis on sovereignty and territorial integrity during pre-independence to the continuations of a political, social, economic, and civilizational way of life of a nation and its people. But this development actually moved from the acceptance of traditional threats to the non-traditional threats, in addition to the emergence of the human security concept that was first introduced by the United Nations in Human Development Report 1994, which listed 7 forms of human security, and one of it is the health security. The research background. As in other countries, Malaysia was not exempt from the threat of the infectious disease. And a century prior, Malaya was hit by the Spanish flu plague. We've recorded a death toll of 34,644 cases. And around 79 years later, Malaysia for the first time was hit with a new infectious disease yet experienced by any other country. This is called Nipah virus. It was first emerged in 1997, where the name of the Nipah virus is actually took after the name Sungai Nipah, which located in Negeri Sembilan, the west coast of Peninsula Malaysia, and it was first discovered by Dr. Chua Kaubin, who I attached the picture in the slide. And the Center of Disease Control on 12th of March 1999 then confirmed that this virus is not Japanese encephalitis, but in the parasinovirus category. So this is a map of Malaysia for the international participants. And this is also the map where pigs in the high and Negeri Sembilan. Citing the Director General of the Malaysian Veterinary Services, he emphasized that the disease had a large impact on national security and economy. So it is important for DVS, the divisions of Malaysian Veterinary Services, to take further steps to ensure that this disease is no longer spread across the country. The literature review. Well, the direct research on the Nipah virus on the historical disciplines could not actually be identified at this current moment. However, undeniably, there are previous scholars who studied infectious disease as listed in the slide. The previous studies actually pioneered by the medical expert and not historians. Thus, the focus of their discussion were actually on the epidemiology and clinical aspect. Undeniably, they are also touched or discussed on the socio-economic aspect, but without further detail. So the studies were actually unable to advance the implications of the Nipah virus towards the social condition, especially from the security aspect. Now let us move to the methodology part. The study uses the historical method research, and like most other authors in the history discipline, this study uses qualitative method and data analysis. And the study forwards a few key questions, which divided into three components: understanding the Nipah virus, how we measure the Nipah degree of threat to national security, and lastly is how we assess the government preparedness against the Nipah virus. Now come to the climax part of the discussion, results and discussion. The results found that in Malaysia, the Nipah virus outbreak occurred within 35 weeks, which started from 29th of September 1998 to 31st of May 1999. And it started with the negligence of the swine operators that actually lead to the emergence of the zoonosis disease. And at the early stage, patients who diagnosed with Nipah virus were still in a trial phase, and we could conclude that the patients were considered as lab rat due to the novelty of the virus. And the patient exhibited some symptoms such as headache, chills, myalgia, lethargy, giddiness, and so on. And the treatment was similar to the Japanese encephalitis virus patient. While the Nipah virus outbreak actually began on February 1999. This is the first outbreak where the same disease that was detected from the transmission area was found in other area. And this means that the disease is no longer an endemic, but epidemic in nature. In addition, in March 1999, in Singapore, there were 11 cases reported, and those infected patients are those people who handle swine that come from Malaysia. And of course, the climax was also in March 1999, which recorded 105 deaths over 265 cases. While the increasing death count in a short period of time had led to multiple confusion, speculations, and unexpected effects. Now, measuring the Nipah degree of threat to the national security, we actually decided to take three indicators. And the first indicator is, of course, the rate of mortality of Nipah virus. Throughout human civilization, mortality rate caused by infectious disease has actually goes beyond death rates by war. And in Malaysia, the mortality caused in infectious disease often surpassed the chart. The high mortality rate caused by Nipah virus was related to the presence of the Nipah virus stored in cerebrospinal fluid and the central nervous system of the patient. And Nipah virus also caused acute infections, and for some certain cases, there is a clinical relapse even after a few years. And Nipah virus is also categorized as a biosafety level 4 organism, with the fatality rate was 39.6%. Now, without a doubt, from economic instability aspect and observations of a number of sources found that the Nipah outbreak has greatly affected the swine industry, especially among the Chinese community. And in 1988, it was recorded that the pig farming industry involved 2,100 operators with 2.3 million livestock affected. And during the outbreak, Malaysia witnessed declining demands for pork up to 30%, and Singapore was among the countries who blocked the entry of pork supplies from Malaysia at that time. These are the photos of some of the community. And the table shows the production and consumptions of pig livestock. And we can see from the self-sufficiency of the pork, from 1998 to 2000, it has decreased, dropped increasingly, it has dropped. Farm operators, staff, and pork sellers were most affected. It was said to have affected 317,000 workers, and these are the estimated loss that has been claimed by the farm operators. And the national tourism industry was also affected. You can see the estimated loss in the slide. Next is the discussions of Nipah virus invoke public panic. The experience of pig culling, the severe conditions of patients, incurred losses, and time sacrifice were felt by the residents, and the outbreak has actually caused anxiety and fear across the country. During the outbreak, 11,000 villagers were relocated on 19th of March 1999 before Special Task Force carried their pig culling operation. This is to ensure there is no interruptions during the pig culling sessions, and a number of villagers searched for new settlements, revolted by the stench of millions of carcasses of the swine. And this decision actually proved the statement of the Ramesh Thakur that anything which degrades the quality of life is a security threat to humans. Now we move to the last part of the discussion, assessing government preparedness against the Nipah virus. As soon as the true source of the disease was identified by the government, they immediately took initiative. One of the initiatives was to implement isolation. They only allowed 6 hospitals to receive Nipah patients. Those hospitals are University Hospital, the Hospital Ipoh, the Hospital of Fatimah, Port Dickson Hospital, Seremban Hospital, and the Hospital of Kuala Lumpur. And the treatment for patients was the intensive symptomatic care, and antiviral ribavirin also given to the patients. This is a list of the new equipment bought and the cost for Seremban Hospital during the outbreak. Well, the table shows the local Nipah investigation team consisting of medical experts from the Faculty of Medicine, University of Malaya. There are also few experts from Japan and CDC and also WHO who was brought into Malaysia during the outbreak. Next is the discussions considering preventive measure taken by the government. One of it is the declarations of infections area. Firstly, if Nipah cases was identified in a pig farm, the government declared them as infected areas. The area involved was a 5-mile radius around the declared areas, and the adjacent farm will also consider as high-risk area, and total culling of the pig will be carried out in the adjacent farm. The declared control areas will be under authorities' control within 30 days of quarantine period. And quoting the Acting Inspector General of Police, Tan Sri Norian Mai, who stated that authorities increase security control measures in infected areas to prevent any adverse incident. Now, the government incentive allocation. While government allocated millions of ringgit to ensure that the well-being of its nation and its people, the government allocated 35 million US dollar to compensate for 1.1 million of destroyed pig. As the epidemic demanded immediate and precise decision making, they introduced a cabinet task force and also a 24-hour operations room. On April 21st, 1999, the distributions of certificates began for the first time, which is the step that government took to issue or to determine whether the Nipah farm is free from the pig farm is free from Nipah virus or contaminated, in line with the launch of the National Swine Surveillance Program. Let us move to the biosecurity disinfections and awareness campaign steps. Biosecurity measures were emphasized during swine culling, with members well equipped with personal protective equipment, before entering the infected areas. And after the pig were shot, the carcasses were buried in a large hole near the infected areas, and germ disinfection were carried out in the premises and burial sites with chlorinated lime and detergents. The Department of Veterinary Services also carried out a public awareness campaign and raised awareness on the importance of the environmental sanitation, especially among the pig farm operators. And this disease was listed in the National Disease List according to the Animal Act 1953, Section 31. And below table is the list of health education talks or radio during Nipah outbreak. Conclusion. The findings, or to sum up, the findings highlight the period between 1997 and 2001 as a challenging time for the government and the community in the Nipah outbreak areas, especially the community. The transformations of the security dimension, which witnessed the diversity of additional dimensions, led to the assessment of a new perspective in measuring the capability of disease to threaten the national security. And the Nipah outbreak led to the decline in productivity of the swine industry. The national economy was affected, and the lack of understanding towards Nipah virus had threatened the public welfare. And government preparedness to overcome infectious disease could not be denied, even with early missteps during prevention. Thus, the government must prepare more sustainable policies. With that, I end my presentation. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Can you hear me?
Yes, can. How do I stop sharing? Okay.
Can you hear? Yes, okay. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for your nice presentation. Okay. Can you name the isolation steps again? What isolation steps did your government took?
Isolation steps that our government took, such as biosecurity, disinfection, awareness campaign, and they allocate few incentives to the farm operators because they are greatly affected, especially in the economic aspect.
Very good, excellent. Okay, and you told that the government needs more precautionary policies. Yes, am I right?
Yep, doctor.
Okay, yes, this is something that happened for all the countries around the world, and most of the governments in the world have to take more precautionary steps for the next viruses, and this is something for all the countries. Thank you so much. It was very good, and be fresh. I don't have any other questions. Thank you so much. Good luck.
Thank you, doctor.
Okay, thank you. You can leave the room. Thank you so much. Goodbye.
Goodbye. Thank you, doctor. Nice to meet you.